My name is Ebony Walden, urban planner, DEI consultant, and avid traveler. Join me as I travel the globe and explore the beauty, culture, creativity, and cuisine of the African diaspora in my new web series, Black Beyond Borders. Stay tuned for episode 4, where I close out my 6-week journey with a visit from a few Virginians, take in the food and film of the Africana Film Festival in Dakar, and say goodbye to all of my new Senegalese friends.
Week 5 going into week 6. Got back from Cape Verde, and a group from Virginia, Anjali Moon, who was here, was having a group from Virginia here. And then her event was also, the Africana event was going to be at the end of the week. So it was lovely. It was 2, Lawrence, Africana, and Ross. And they were just experiencing Senegal for the first time. And we had a tour guide, which was Kabi. And it was wonderful going to some of the places that had gone before, but also new places. So we went with them to the African Renaissance Monument, which is the tallest statue in Africa. It's a beautiful monument. You can go inside, but it's wonderful to go to the top, have a wonderful vantage point, and just look up and see a beautiful monument of Black people that's so prominent and such a sight to behold. And then you also are up there, you get a wonderful vantage point of the city. Whether you go inside or you're on the platform. You know, when the guy was talking, he said it represents both the woman whose hand is going back like this, is acknowledging Senegal's past, not only its colonial past, but its history and its connection to the transatlantic slave trade. But also with a man with his hand or the child with his hand is going towards the future. What's the future? It's like this: what's the future of Africa? What are we looking for, both from an economic standpoint? And so you have to do both, right? Acknowledging and paying homage to the past, but also looking to the future. It's a monument at a crossroads, a country at a crossroads, and, you know, a continent as a crossroads that is marred by the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism, of course, independence in the 60s, and then, you know, how do you move towards the future when there's still a lot of foreign influence and oppression, and then also corruption and development. And so it's this really interesting place to be, I think, as they are growing and changing as a nation, as the continent is growing and changing, but also as the world is growing and changing. So I love that. We went to the Museum of African Civilization. That was really interesting because the whole point was to say Africa is the cradle of civilization. The first people were here. The first skull was found here. All of the different people of the world, right? And how they've gone out across the world and populated this. We are the originators. And they're just a proof of art, science, mathematics, architecture, building, and all of those things in the wall of African and Afro-descendant leaders, as well as the wall of African and Afro-descendant women leaders. It's just inspiring. And in connection to the Biennale, lots of events happen there, but they also have the US and the Cape Verdean Pavilion. So who were their 2 partners this year? So the US Pavilion, they were really reflecting on identity. And the point or the theme of the Biennale was the wave, right? And really connecting to the water. And there was a exhibit where they were talking about wade in the water. Me and Africana there, I took video of it, but the sound didn't come through. And we were just singing wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. And that came back to me. And so to reflect on the importance of water, the importance of identity, the importance of art and culture and shaping our future and owning our identity was really cool. And experiencing that with other African American people from Virginia was also a delight. You know, and then there's eating And we had Thanksgiving here, so it was interesting to have Thanksgiving in a place that doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. But we had table jam communally for Thanksgiving. And so we had Abdu, who is Aisha's driver, and Alima over, and they ate with us and really talked to us. We had a wonderful conversation. And what does it mean for us to eat with our spoons communally, and talk about the connections and the things that we saw and felt that day that felt similar and different. They went to Buoy Island. I chose not to go a second time, but my first time going to Buoy Island is the reason why I'm back here again. It's the reason why I'm focusing on Black space around the world and Black Beyond Borders, which is my podcast, because I was there and I said, wow, we have colored, flavored, and textured the world. And I've been to those places and I want to go investigate and bring other people to the beauty, the culture, the connection, and the cuisine that is Blackness. We went on a tour of Ouakam. So Ouakam is a neighborhood here in Dakar. Nadia, who is a West Indian, but lives in the US and then also spends a lot of her time in Senegal, lives in Ouakam, was our tour guide. And so we went to the mosque there. We went down to the fishermen's port, the label people, which are it's a fishermen's kind of ethnic group and that are in connection with the land and the fishing ports here. So that was really interesting. So going into the mosque and covering our heads, it was really interesting. It was the second time I visited the Grand Mosque here too. Just reminded that you're in a Muslim country, right? And what does that mean? It's very open too. Like people, it's obviously Muslim. There's Christian people here too, but it's very Muslim in Dakar, and sort of immersing yourself in that. You see people playing on the street, you see people washing in the street on their feet and their head and their hands so they can go and pray. And so we went to the market. I tasted bouye for the first time. Bouye is the fruit of a baobab tree. It's really chalky and white. When you put it in your mouth, it's like you put a piece of chalk in your mouth. And then once you let your saliva moisten it up, it's sweet and a little bit bitter, kind of similar to maybe apple cider vinegar. It's like this little sweet and sour taste. It's pretty good. I much prefer the juice, but when I first tasted it, I was like, this is terrible. I'm about to try the seed of a baobab.
The one that little seed joint, that looked like it was a stone fruit.
Girl, this is terrible. So, an acquired taste, but I love trying new things. Buoy juice was really good. Let's see if I can redeem my buoy tasting. This is buoy juice. Now this is delicious. It's thick. Maybe apple juicy meats. Maybe a little bit mango-ish. Delicious. I also drink Waas for the first time. I like going to a little cafe, so I think I went to the Epicurean African cafe in Almadies. I had some Waas there. Waas is their like lemon ginger drink. It's absolutely delicious. And then at the end of that week, Anjali had her event at Loman Art. It's a wonderful art space. She showed 4 films from across the diaspora. There was about 70 to 80 people there. They had a number of dancers come and perform, a wonderful female DJ. We also had street food. Fetaya is a big here, which is kind of like a samosa or something that it's meat or other things kind of wrapped in this bread. We also had skewers or chicken skewers, which you can walk down the street and see lots of folks or enough folks cooking chicken or different kind of meat on skewers outside, and they sell it. I mean, some of the most deliciously flavored chicken that I have had. It was a wonderful eclectic tasting of Senegal, films from the diaspora, music. There was lots of people that we had met over the past month that were intersecting with them, people visiting, expats here, so we can at least speak some English. But that was a wonderful event and into that week. Then this last week has just been rest and reflection. I haven't done anything particularly special. I had a full week of work. I've been trying to rest. I've been trying to pack and just really reflect on my experience and go to some of my favorite places and walk a lot. Top lessons. I'm absolutely glad that I gave myself a week and a half to relax. So that's number one. Two, I'm glad I brought an extra computer because I needed it. Three, I'm glad I came and stayed with somebody who has an infrastructure and a community that I can be joined into, and I felt taken care of. People are like, you're missing your breakfast. Where are you? Or just checking in on you, or do you want to do this? And then I'm glad I sprouted out and let other people know that I was here so I can connect with friends of friends. And just for the 5 weeks I was here, I had a sense of place and home and community, both with Senegalese people, with expat folks, and with friends of friends that I was meeting. I love that I came here during the Biennale, the art piece and the culture piece, and being immersed in that around creators, it spurred my desire to be more creative in my content creation, right? So my goal for coming was to, one, launch my remote working experience of 4 places across the diaspora where I'm spending a month or more. 2 is to delve into content creation. So I think I got like 500 new followers on my Ebony Around the World page, which is where I posted so many things of what I was doing, where I was going, processing my experience. So delving into that creative part of myself. Worked on my book about my around the world trip, a tiny, tiny little bit, but just mostly delved into the art and food and culture that is Dakar, Senegal. And then got a little side trip to St. Louis, but also a side trip to Cape Verde. So I love the trip within a trip. And all of that was just so rich. So hopefully I could do it again 3 more times, capture that experience, and be changed by it. Senegal, could I live here? I don't know. It seems kind of an expensive place, but I like the people and the culture and the Teranga here. It's not easy to get around because of the cab situation, the language barrier. I'd really have to commit to learning French and at least a little bit of Wolof, but it's definitely a place that I could come back to for between a month and 2 months a year to chill and be and feel like a second home. So wonderful experience. Cuisine, creativity, and culture were my highlights of this trip. So more to come. Next place I'm going is Colombia. Stay tuned.